Good evening. Welcome back to the Washington Outsider Report on the Coalition Radio. For those of you newly joining the program, my name is Irina Zuckerman, and I am the editor-in-chief of the Washington Outsider. With us today is a special guest, Mr. Sarat Kumar Rachulapalli, and he's involved in a major humanitarian nonprofit Arc Salas, and he'll talk more about it and what that means in a bit. But one of the major issues that they've been helping with is the relocation of Afghans affected by the Taliban return and the U.S. withdrawal. And we'll talk about the humanitarian as well as the security aspects of their work today, because the situation in Afghanistan has been deteriorating. Now we are hearing about multi-billion-dollar deals with China, with the United Kingdom and other countries, and what that means for the regular people who are stuck there, as well as for U.S. allies who ended up in a very dangerous situation. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your professional background, and how you ended up in this particular area?
Yeah, thank you, Irina. Thank you for taking time to talk to me. And I'm one of the founder of Arc Salas, and Rich Davis is another guy who is heading this Arc Salas for the last 1.5 year. And we started Arc Salas on August 5th. I founded, basically, I registered the foundation in Washington State, Bellevue. And this is for the humanitarian help, especially for saving a lot of Afghans after U.S. announced immediate withdrawal of the NATO forces. So there were a lot of people, like families, who had nowhere to go. They were in the kill list, and it was very hard for them to stay there once the Taliban was taking over the country. So we have helped a lot of families before the Taliban came over to the power. So we have helped, we have chartered 4 flights with the help of, some special forces, and with the help of, a lot of coordination to basically arrange those flights. And we brought more than 600 people from Kabul. This was all in the mid of August. To Kabul to Bahrain, and then we left them at the U.S. naval base, and then after that the U.S. government took over. Then they brought them eventually to U.S. So that's a major work we did when we started the foundation. Then after that, Taliban came to power, and we could not enter the country or do anything because of the rules and regulations. So the only thing we started is because we were dealing with thousands of families who were in need. They were in need of food, they were in need of clothes, medicines, a lot of different things. So we have interacted with thousands, but unfortunately, we had help in the beginning for evacuation part. with by a couple of philanthropic people in the East Coast, with the help of I would say one of the Christy. Christy is one of the person who helped us, and this is all through. And she's a vice president at UNICEF right now, and she helped us in raising funds, and we raised good funds to get the people out. And then afterwards, most of the funds after the August third week, basically the all these things stopped, and then only the lot of veteran families, I would say, and I'm very thankful to all the veteran families in all over US, and some in UK, and some like doctors, some engineers, and some different companies, corporates. So and these are all individuals who basically helped us in just donating anywhere from $15, $50, 100, 500 to 1,000, in that range. And with that money, till end of the year of 2021, we helped a few hundred families, and about 750 families we helped in Afghanistan, just to have food for a month. So that was the mission we were doing during that year. And since then, we are only doing a humanitarian work in helping people. And for the last 1.5 year, really, we don't have any help from any philanthropic people or anywhere. Probably hardly have. Last year, I have basically sent all my, because I'm a regular employee in technology companies. That time I was working with Amazon Web Services as a senior talent management professional. And then after that, I had to leave my contract because of the Afghanistan issue. And then last year, again, I joined Uber Technologies. I was doing the global sourcing for application security, managing different sourcing and hiring strategies all over the world. So with this, whatever funds I can individually get, I was able to just cater only for a few families. So definitely, like, our sailors needs a lot of help in providing support to a lot of families who are suffering in Afghanistan. And for the last 2 years, with no help, I can give like different categories. If you have time, I can talk
Yes,
about different
please.
categories.
Please
Yeah.
go ahead. Yes.
So in Afghanistan, there is a term called Shaheed families. Shaheed means a soldier who died in the act of war or sometime. And those families get about $150 to $180 per month, and they were getting paid annually before 2 years. This was, everyone knows in NATO, US government, and so this was the thing. Those families were getting that type of support. So what happened in the last 2 years is all these families, there is no support from the present Taliban or from anyone on the ground there, any humanitarian organization or United Nations. I'm not aware of, not even those families are getting any. And this information I directly get from Afghanistan through my contacts of humanitarian work we are doing. And so these are the citizens are complaining about the Shaheed families. And then another is, for the last 20 years, there are so many injured soldiers in Afghanistan, and a lot of the US Special Forces, the NATO Special Forces, all the special forces were saved by these Afghan soldiers, and they got injured. Some died, and these are injured soldiers, and they are handicapped, and those people are suffering at home, and including their families. And they used to get $1,100 per year, and even that support is gone now, the last 2 years. So these two support for Shaheed families and the injured, handicapped soldiers, or even the people like working in the government for different support, civilians, logistics, anything. So there is no support on those handicapped families also. And as you know, the civilians and army retired people are also not getting any retirement funds due to closing of the banks, or no idea like how they're going to get any support. So the retirement funds are totally out in Afghanistan. So a lot of these retired families are suffering in that way. And unemployment is very high, and the educated youth is there because they used to go to different countries. They were studying in Afghanistan everywhere, and they were going to many different countries, anywhere from US, UK, Australia, India, Pakistan, many different countries they were educating themselves. So they are also stuck because no one has money to go for education. And there are people who are educated, they are not even getting any employment because nothing is operational. And the special issue is girls. Girls are suffering a lot, and I deal with a lot of people like for the last 2 years who are like engineers, doctors, lawyers, policemen, the army, the air force pilots, women. These are all like women because Afghanistan was highly educated right from 1950s, 1970s. It was more modern than most of the Western countries or the European countries at that time. But everything changed in this last few years. And now the girls were coming back. The last 20 years, the progress was going. So the girls were coming back to those positions. They were working in top positions, like whether it's engineering, medicine, army, air force, a lot of civilian government officials. So there are so many like politicians, Congress, parliament, and even in the defense. So right now, all of them are not working, and for their children, who are they are not able to go to school. Like everyone knows, under 8 right now, they are able to go, but anyone above 8 years, they are not able to go. And another issue is the girls are suffering because the Taliban forces are following, and they're going to their home and they are getting married. People are like 18 years, anyone of about 12 years. They are targeting, and a lot of girls got kidnapped. And so those security issues are there for girls because there is no one to take care. There is no one to even go and complain. So the girls can, and a lot of girls, they would even send messages to me saying that there is no hope. We are planning to die. And these are the messages I directly get from Afghanistan. There is, we are waiting for US, we are waiting for UK, we are waiting for some country to come and save us, but no one is saving us. And so those are the issues because they need education, they need a proper employment, they need these basic necessities, which no one is taking care. And even they are suffering with malnutrition. The food is not there. If someone is married, they are only able to give 1 or 2 breads to their children, one potato, and they don't have anything to eat for themselves. So these are the situations in Afghanistan. Only very you might see in the media because no one covers in the media about the real situation going on in Afghanistan. It's a matter of more than 30 million. It's like close to 35 million population. So now it's at least more than 30 million still in Afghanistan and suffering with all the basic necessities and issues. And whether it's food, clothing, and right now the winter is coming, there's a issue for having good clothes, wood. They don't have wood for the fire to have the heaters in their home, and they use the wood fire. So all these things are very hard for them to even survive. So, and the midwives, there's a big issue of midwives in Afghanistan because the last year, few hundred children, they just died because of no one was able to take care of the women who were giving birth to the kids. And the midwives issue is a big thing. And the hospitals, yeah, they don't have women doctors. And the men in Afghanistan, they don't want to take their women to the hospitals because if the women doctors are not there, they don't feel comfortable. So there are a lot of these big issues where people need support. And so I think the only way is to have many organizations set up which directly connects with the United Nations or any big country, whether it's the United States or UK or any big country who wants to lead that mission of helping the basic necessities to the citizens of Afghanistan, because that would make the country back to normalcy. Because right now, the last 2 years, there is no normalcy in the country. So these are different issues Afghanistan is facing in the last 2 years.
So the big question is, how can any country provide humanitarian support without it going through the Taliban and either being completely stolen or empowering the Taliban even more?
Still, if you see, still a lot of whether it's I don't know particularly, but I would say that whether it's U.S. officials or connected with U.S. officials, they are still meeting the heads of Taliban. They are still meeting Qatar so it's regular meetings, and they are still getting the money. The Taliban is still getting the money, cash. So all these things are going on. But the only thing which is not going on is no one is looking at the general people who are suffering in Afghanistan. So that's the main issue, because all these things are transactions are happening, but no one knows who is giving what, where it is going. There is no accountability. And so those are the issues. So unless United Nations or some big organization comes forward, or some country comes forward and says that, yeah, let's set up a humanitarian, and let's put or even they can head, but they need right people, because we don't because whatever United Nations is doing in Afghanistan, that's not reaching to the general people of Afghanistan. Even, and these people work for USAID, these people work for different US missions and organizations, and including Afghan government, including schools, universities. So all these people are complaining. So it's not like one person or two, it's like thousands and thousands of families. So the population is in millions. So majority of everyone in Afghan, any citizen of Afghan, they would say, yeah, 95% of the people are still suffering with the basic necessities. So I think it has to be a joint mission, or a big mission where the same thing, instead of giving cash, let's open the banks to the people, because people are not able to take their own money. They can only take like a $200 or something. There's a very limit. And most of these families are big families, because they live with their brothers, sisters, families. So it's like a combination of some 30, 40 people in those families. And only if one has the bank account, then they can survive with that money. And people who don't have money, they can't even take anything from the bank. So the limited people who have money in the bank, they can't even take money to survive. So the issue is very big, because for the people who doesn't have anything, because most of the Americans, we all live from paycheck to paycheck. We don't have money to live without any job for next 2 years or 3 years. So the same situation. So they need 100% support just to survive. So I think world would realize. I'm appealing for United States government, and I'm appealing for the United Kingdom, India, even Pakistan, Sri Lanka, many different countries to come forward and support, or any NATO, heads of any NATO or any United Nations organizations, including UNESCO, UNICEF, UNSCR, in different, because there are different things, because all these organizations can help. But they have the biggest network, they have the funds. They just need to initiate to move forward and save a country, not take them back to like old ages, where people are not able to study or even eat, or basically they're living in a jungle right now. So the cities have become like a jungle for all the people.
So again, the question is, how can this, first of all these international organizations have been criticized for enabling corruption rather than helping people in past instances in different countries, and not being able to reach the populations because authoritarian factions in charge in various countries in Africa, in Yemen, and other places have blocked humanitarian distribution. Iran, and so forth. So how can that be prevented in Afghanistan? And how is it
I mean,
possible to get the country to thrive when the Taliban literally controls the institutions? Is it possible to get anything done with the Taliban being there?
I mean, humanitarian work, I think, because since Taliban is still getting money from who they are getting money, 100 million, 200, whether
Mhm.
UN is providing or US is providing, so someone is providing them, right? So and they're getting cash. So instead of giving them cash, they can put regulations, rules and regulations, where they say, yeah, this money goes from bank, this goes for this department, and then basically there has to be accountability if Taliban receives any money from anywhere. So that's not there. So in that way, it would be a welfare for the people because it would go to the right hands. So that's one way. But for humanitarian, for supporting the basics and necessities, we can have a I mean, my organization, like we have enough contacts inside Afghanistan where there are so many people to support these basic necessities of giving them food, giving them clothing or shoes, or giving them wood. So these are the basic necessities where a lot of thousands of people are ready to volunteer within Afghanistan just to do this support. And there are thousands of people they can. So the only thing is we don't have any resources to give them. So that's one big issue. And if a lot of organizations wants to come and help, we can always create and see like which are the organizations which are doing work on the ground real where it's going, because when we did a lot of food so I can give you a very good example, like when we catered a lot of food assistance, whether it's food, medicines, and for buying few things in their home. So what we did is most of the people, like they would come. Even we have taken some signatures, we have proofs, we have given that. And so there are like multiple ways to see it's going to the, and most of our funds which we sent to Afghanistan, it's 100% went, because we used some of the diplomats, actually kids, they helped us in helping this food mission. And unfortunately they got misunderstood by Taliban. They got arrested, they were put in jail, and it happens like few times. So, and these are the kids who helped only to give, because they don't even know anything, they are just from straight from high school and college kids. So they just wanted to give. And when they saw those people, they even gave some money personally from themselves, their savings. This because they saw so many people suffering there, and they were coming from different areas, and they cater to many different areas in Afghanistan: Kabul, Herat, Nangarhar, uh, so many Mazar-e-Sharif, so different regions. So that can be done. So the only thing is who is there to support our organization if we want to give food, or if you want to send some clothes or shoes. So the issue is, yeah, and a lot of medical care. And there are some women, like even like today, like I got some messages, like with group of women. They don't have anywhere to go. They just need food. That's all they need. So there's some, so all these basic necessities we can definitely cater. We have enough network to do the humanitarian work inside Afghanistan. So we can definitely do this, because we have done for thousands of families in the last 2 years. And with almost with the help of few veteran families, and that's all we had. So we need like a big help from different agencies, not different governments or different countries or different organizations who can help us in this mission.
One problem is that historically, a lot of the governments and big foundations who provide humanitarian relief rely on a few huge organizations that are fairly well known, the International Red Cross and its various local affiliates, the International Red Crescent, and so forth. My understanding from personal direct interaction with these organizations is that they're not always particularly good at reaching people. And they
Right.
also have political neutrality, so they kind of work with the local militias, and whether it's Taliban in Afghanistan or Houthis in Yemen or whoever else, somewhere
Right.
else, in order to facilitate prisoners exchanges and so forth.
Right.
But then it's not clear whether they're able to effectively counter the theft of humanitarian aid and things like that. So, what has your experience been with trying to cooperate with these organizations, and how can you circumvent this bias about giving money to big, well-known organizations, even if they're completely ineffective?
Uh, I mean, for us, it's it's an easy way because we are common people and we are dealing with the common people of Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm,
So it's easy to interact, and even when we interact in distributing, we are doing through the Afghanistan common people of Afghanistan, the civilians. So these are all the civilians who are helping each other.
mm-hmm,
So that's how the support would go. If you directly go to the headquarters and do meetings, and then after that they will do a show of, okay, we are giving this food, but that doesn't go anywhere. But when you deal with a common man, you can't go wrong, because the man is so connected with the common people of the whole country. So you cannot fool a common person. Although, like a lot of, I mean, common people don't have an authority or power, but when it comes to these type of emergency missions, so these are the people who can help each other, and they can survive, and they can basically take care of the people of their country. And they have a very good interest because it's their country and it's their people, and they know who is suffering. And it's not like one or two people. I'm talking about in every province, like there will be hundreds of people doing this work, hundreds of people. So it's not just one person and then say, oh, we show in the media and say, yeah, not this is what no, it's like it would happen like each and every, because even when we did this small work of food assistance, it's a very small work for, because it's not enough, it's more than 750 families, but that's just a monthly food program. For that, we have to arrange a, we have to vet this list. We know each and every, basically each and every family, we know, we talk to those families. We just don't give them that assistance just like as if we got a list from somewhere. So we create that list, we interact that with that family, and those families have been I mean, approaching us for all this time. So we created those lists, and then we spoke to them, and we saw what do they need, what do they have. And some families would say, yeah, we have some money to eat, but we don't have money for wood, or we don't have money, we need because we had an injury, we can't do this, and sorry, we need money for operation to buy some medicines, those type of thing. So every family would be interacted. Anywhere the money goes, every family would be interacted. And most of the families, we take some basically Afghans, everyone had identities and all that. We take identities, we had those, and we had even fingerprints. We took fingerprints of people who took help, and some signatures. And only in some very rare cases where it's a issue for high security, those people we would exempt, because those are vetted by the Afghan, the defense, where they know those people for a long time also. So there are only very, and those are very few cases, but the majority, 90% of the people are just the regular civilians who need this basic necessities. And it can be very well fashioned, I mean, in a very fashionable way. Every family can send a note to whoever provides the sources for us. We can have like notes, and we can have a direct interaction with those families, because right now we have like thousands of families whom we already supported. So that's the problem. The only thing, when they want to come in the media, they don't want to show their faces, or but they can send you emails, letters, or their phone numbers. They can even talk on the phone, on their WhatsApps. So we can provide those type of thing if any institution or any agency has interest in helping Afghanistan to survive. Because right now survival is the most important part for Afghanistan. And I think in the world right now, that's the only country which is suffering most than most other country. Because in other countries, there are a lot of wars and all those things happening. But here, the whole Afghanistan, people of the whole Afghanistan are suffering for the basic necessities. And this happened all of a sudden. And for them, it's still a nightmare. And a lot of people have even lost their lives. Some have suicides happened. And so a lot of these unfortunate incidents happened in the last 2 years. And if we want to avoid that for future and save the Afghans, then I think we need to initiate a different type of humanitarian program. And I can definitely guarantee all this would definitely reach each and every family. And thousands of Afghans would be happy to do the volunteer work to cater these basic necessities to the citizens of Afghanistan.
So one of the issues that there's a big source of concern is the fact is sending humanitarian packages has a very limited impact because the food gets eaten quickly and then the next day you still need more food. So it's an endless process that's very expensive and not relatively speaking, and difficult to continue in a situation where you have issues with access.
No, yeah, no,
So
for
how do
that,
we how
yeah,
do we connect the people there with skills and with training and with online jobs and things that they can do to build up their own community so that this subsistence diet is
yeah,
becomes less of an issue and you can shift to a more sustainable economic
yeah.
development model. I mean, you have
Right.
highly
I mean, the
educated
model, yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You have highly educated women who are banned from workplace. What can they do? What kind of businesses can they run from home? What skills can they be taught? How can they be mentored and engaged in a way that gives them an opportunity to provide basic income for themselves and their families?
Yeah, there are, I mean, a lot of different skill traits. So that's one idea, but the food is the basic necessity. So
Mhm,
if a person cannot eat, they cannot even work, they cannot
mhm,
even talk. So that's why if we start with that program, then the simultaneously we still have this other programs to induce in this. So what it is the different skill programs. Say I spoke about this midwives because the doctors are not there, they are not able to go and
mhm,
work in the hospital. So we can create this midwives program through different doctors, and where they can help. We can have in every province, we can have 3 centers, and we can have like 100 midwife centers. We can just create this 100 midwife center just to save the women who are in the pregnancy or in the birth. So that's just one small trade, skill trade. So that a lot of doctors and nurses would be, volunteer to help this, and they can lead this. And then the other trades, like Afghan is very rich in many natural things like fruits, nuts, and all these things. And the trade, there are so many people who can do the trade also. So they can know, like, because the farming is there. Right now, they don't have money to farm. They don't have anything to, I mean, because all the farms are like right now, nothing is happening because for that, the banks have to open or some micro loan. If the bank doesn't open, then there should be some micro loans
mhm,
for, because there was one woman who came to me like a few months back, and she said, Sharat, can you send us like 40 sewing machines? If you send 40 sewing machines, I can train all these women, because right now they are not able to go and do their regular jobs. I can teach them and they can survive just by sewing. And it would be small money, but at least it's one trade the woman can learn. And so there are a lot of this, I'd say all this as home science. There's a lot of home science trades are involved. which can be evolved, and they can go global also. They can start in Afghanistan, and these women can do the trade globally. So that's the trade. We can train them, we can teach them. And along with that, we can even have some online education on the skill trade or even on the other educations. So people have a lot of different knowledge in their own trade, and they can excel in their trade. And even we can interact with them with different, say if someone is in the sewing machine like business, then they can learn how they can make more fashionable, because they know how to make the Afghan garments, Afghan styles, Afghan traditional things. So there are people who can learn to make it different also. So those are the things people can learn, and they can train others, and that would be another trade. So these type of trades can be done only when we can provide them at least the basic necessities, and they know that like they are safe at their homes, and they can work from their homes remotely, and they can get paid on those trades. So yeah, definitely there'll be very good training on the education side. Yeah, there are a lot of universities who are interested in giving Afghans education. So that can be done also, if because they are not going out, they are not in the out, they are not in the in the campuses, but at least they can learn. So if there is no issue of any security for those girls, we can even arrange the online education for them. But skill trade, yeah, definitely it's possible with the current rules and regulations. So the woman can learn these different types of skill trades and making things, whether it can be crockeries, or it can be like, anywhere from gardening. So different types of things you need in a home, or in a different, like in a, I would say, these can go from Afghanistan to different resorts in the world, or different hotels in the world. So those type of things can be, there are so many women who knows this trade, and they can train thousands of women in these trades. And so at least the population would increase. And yeah, like with the basic things is they need definitely some micro loan activities or something where we can cater, and then slowly we can increase these skill trades. And that would that would go into all the provinces all over Afghanistan.
One of the major sources of potential sources of humanitarian assistance could be corporations that talk a lot about corporate social responsibility, but we
Yeah.
have seen actually very little from corporations donating any sort
Yes.
of assistance to developing
Right.
countries like Afghanistan. How do we tap into this and redirect
Yeah.
this
It's
goodwill from virtue signaling to practical results?
no, it's a very good point, because most of the corporations, they made a lot of money in Afghanistan in all these years, and we can talk right from the defense companies, telecom companies, many companies. So the US government knows these companies, Afghans knows these companies, they interacted with, and they worked with, and billions of dollars in this last 20 years. Even if these corporations come forward with just a couple of millions, every corporation, we can do a lot of things for these Afghans. And yeah, I did try to interact with one of the biggest corporation last year, like before last year in 2021. And that time, because we started in August 5th, on August 5th, officially on August 5th, we registered our sales. And then we have to get the 501(c)(3) approval, which takes time. And that time it was a big rush at IRS. So it took like almost 6 months. But before that, in August, September, we approached very large companies who worked in Afghanistan, and they know all these things, because all their employees are still suffering. They're not even able to come. They are in, some people are still, they did like big work for these companies, and they're not able to even get a P1 visa or P2 or SI visa, all these people are just waiting for no reason. They can't even have money to get their passports. People who have money for passport, they can't even go to Pakistan. They can't even get their visas. So there are so many issues, and there is no one person for them to reach in any of the departments except those automated emails. There is nothing. So these type of things, yeah, can be definitely changed, and we can definitely do a lot of development. And even on the immigration side, we advocated a lot for even the top diplomats of Afghanistan who were working side by side with presidents of USA, prime ministers of different countries, and all this. But even those families are still in Afghanistan. They are suffering. They don't have basic necessities because banks are closed. They can't even take their own money, and most of the people who had anything at home, even all those got stolen also. And there are a lot of people are not even in their homes. Their homes are also gone. So it's I mean, there are a lot of issues which basically because of Taliban came into power, the civilians are facing this, because right now the suffering is only the civilians. So these companies can definitely help these civilians by, because every company has the non-profit in their own, so the employees can contribute, they can match it. Some companies match 100%, some companies match 200%. So there are a lot of these companies who can do the matching, or they can have their even a CXO level fundraising for this, which can be a very big one, and that would motivate, because when the CXOs are doing something, the employees of those companies will be motivated, because most of the CXOs of the US companies are making hundreds of millions of dollars. And when they talk about philanthropy or helping people, where are they? No one is talking about Afghanistan. Why they are, I mean, the women are getting, I mean, they are suffering. Children are not able to go to education. A lot of people are, I mean, I mean, a lot of unfortunate things are happening to those kids. And not even a single corporate leader in US, or I don't know the other countries, but in the US is talking about these issues. And they get big packages. And the regular employees like us, we only get our, I mean, standard package whenever we work, and we don't have enough savings. And whatever we have, like, I mean, those are the people who contributed even during the food drive, when we had food drive. But we never had anything from any big corporate or any big network or any agencies to do this support. So definitely corporate should participate, and I think it's their obligation to participate. It's not just to make money when the country is prospering and when there is a business, but right now they have to give back at least a little that, I mean, basically, even they give a 0.1% of what they made in that country, that would be big millions of dollars from every company. So their employees are still suffering. I can even name those companies. I don't want to name them because they are very big companies. So but I can share those details with you personally. So yeah, definitely.
Well, on the other hand, these corporations have a dilemma. Let's say somebody comes to them and claims to be an intermediary transferring financial contributions or distributing aid or packages or whatever. How do they keep all the frauds out from this process? And we have seen that time and again all over the world. Whenever there is a disaster, crisis, a war, famine, whatever, you have opportunists jump on board and take advantage. So have you seen that in your line of work, and what can we do to prevent people from falling for outrageous lies?
Yeah, say even when we are doing the food drive, so we saw like some people like coming, like putting like same family, because the families are big, right? Same families. So we encountered a couple of families, but it's not large. I would just say like in more than 750 families we catered, only two families were doing like mischiefs. So they were coming in in different times, basically different days, and it's just they're all going to the same home. They have a big home. They were going to the same home, so they were taking advantage of that program. And it was very small amount of food drive we were giving. Basically, I can even mention it was a food drive for $100, $200 food assistance. So that type of assistance we were giving. And so I would say the percentage was very little. So even if I look at percentage, it's not even 0.1% in that area. But coming to the giving, like going from here or giving, because even the diplomats of Afghanistan, that's the network we have, because a lot of diplomats' families who are still there, and not only diplomats, there are a lot of the general people, the people who worked in USAID, people who worked in United Nations. Even one time, a New York reporter sends me a message saying that, Sharat, can you help these girls? They don't have any money for food. And I said, they're working for UN for the last 3 years. Why UN is not supporting the girls? I spoke to the girls because I don't even help anyone without even talking to the
Hmm.
family. And that's how I manage each and every family we help. So I spoke to the girls, and they said, "Yeah, I worked for last 3 years, and with a lot of big people from United Nations in Europe, and I sent messages, emails, and all that, and no one responded. And we are here for last few months. We don't have any food, and I did some food help for the family. And I did only one time because after that we didn't had money to even do the second time." And they were very happy. And and this came directly from the one of the New York reporter who sends me an email and sends the girls to approach me for help. So yeah, so a lot of this drive, what we do, like I said, we interact with every family. And when you are interacting with common people, it doesn't go wrong. If you are interacting with the top politicians or the top guys uh, who are presently ruling or in the agency is different, so then they don't have time to reach. We like I spent personally, like from August 2021 to April of 2022, I personally spent I only slept 4 hours 45 minutes during that whole time of 6 months. And I personally spent when I was working for Amazon, I quit in September. Then I was completely full time with all this, and it's all volunteer work. And only like couple of months, the organization helped. But this 2 years, I was just doing volunteer work, except a couple of months. So I personally gave all my savings, all my right now. My financial situation is also not good, just because I concentrated, focused everything on helping the common people of Afghanistan just to survive them. Because if they don't survive, they can't educate themselves. They can't do anything in their whole life, because their thinking is right now is all about suicides. Most of the girls in their minds, they said, no, we want to die, we can't live like this, we want to die. So these are the words which are coming directly from the Afghan women and Afghan girls. And a lot of girls, like, because they're not able to go for education, or they don't have money to eat or provide food for their families, they are suffering these basic necessities. So we can definitely do this mission because of interaction with every family. We help. Yeah, we helped families of judges, lawyers, teachers, policemen, army, defense, commandos, women, people who were even street hawkers, because they were not able to send us, or because they don't know how to send emails or messages. So the neighbors, they said, Sharat, there is a street hawker. We know this guy. He doesn't have money. Can we help? So that's how we were able to even reach those uneducated people on the streets through the common man of Afghanistan. So it's the common person, whether it's a men, women, girls, boys, school children. So they are all want to help each other when they see a lot of these issues happening everywhere in Afghanistan. Like, I mean, Kabul was a big city where people were going and having a five-star treatments. All the US officials had five-star treatments, whether the US generals, US diplomats, US ambassadors. So now there is no one is giving any treatment to those families who are still suffering there. So at least we can give a basic necessities for them and improve the condition of Afghanistan citizens.
You were talking about also evacuations of families. Now, there's been a lot of to do after the fall of Kabul about how the government is corrupt and everyone is corrupt and all the money that was stolen and Iranian ran off with billions and US contractors were furthering corruptions and ISI was furthering corruption. Who how to be distinguished from all these thieves and corrupt officials and whoever was on the dole making money from regular people, because it seems to me that so many people were happy to get rid of this issue that they generalized what was happening with a small
Right.
group of
Yeah.
corrupt individuals who were
Yes.
getting most
Yeah.
of the benefits the entire
Yes.
time from the
Yeah.
rest of the population. So how do we
Yeah.
know who was a real US ally from who was just someone making money from US being there?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are because the people who have been interacting with US officials or Qatar who are because I don't even those know those names other than we see on the in the media. But who are these people are definitely it's not reaching to the common people, common person. It's not reaching to the civilians or even the it's not reaching to the civilians. It's not reaching to the diplomat families who are still suffering there. It's not reaching to the women in the army or women commandos. I mean, all these people, like they are still suffering. They don't have food, the basic necessities. And to get rid of this corruption, because the corruption is only the people who are involved in the last 2 years with the US
Hmm.
government, I believe, or the United Nations. Because the people like us, general, who are, because our organization was formed by special forces, civilians, and I'm one of the civilian, and the rest were some were active special forces and some are veterans. So these people, like, they don't have any business interest or doing any
Hmm.
business. So their interest was only to save them because they came with this mission and only to save people of Afghanistan because their lives were saved by these same people. The families of the same people, their lives were saved number of times. So they felt there is a right for, I mean, it's for their own consciousness that they have to help this country, the families. So they have so many families who help them in many missions in the last 20 years. So I'm not just talking about the defense missions, the civil missions, the logistics in the different projects they had in Afghanistan. So there are so many people who help. They just thought it's a right thing for us. When they're asking for help, we can at least help them. But unfortunately, because of the Taliban came over and the Doha, but I don't think who is following Doha in Afghanistan, Doha agreement. I don't see any, no one follows Doha agreement in Afghanistan, which is very unfortunate because because I think all the regulations goes with again the Doha connection. So why Doha is not participating in Afghanistan? Why Doha is not doing anything in Afghanistan? Why still the corruption is going on through ISI and Taliban? So all these things are still going on. Basically, the only thing is they shut down the government, they shut down the people, they shut down the organizations, the schools, universities, government organization, all the general public, basically. But whatever is going on is still going on. So they haven't stopped the corruption. The corruption, and whenever a lot of people they talk, oh, Afghan people are like corrupt. No, Afghan people are not corrupt. There were very few corrupt people, and the U.S. government knows because we have cigar reports on the corruption and all that. And those people are already left Afghanistan long back. They're not even in Afghanistan. And those families are also not even in Afghanistan. They're sitting in US, they're sitting in DC, Virginia, UK, Dubai, I mean, different big countries with a lot of money. So the real people are still suffering. They are sitting in, the real people or families are still in Afghanistan. Some of the individuals, US got them before the Taliban. They dropped them in Turkey. They are abandoned. There are 38 individuals, and those people have returned. Like, I mean, I'm talking from the top second vice president of Afghanistan, ex-vice president of Afghanistan, foreign minister of Afghanistan, and different dignitaries. They were all dropped by the US assistance before the Taliban takeover, and they are all abandoned. There, no one even talks to them. So these are, and including different generals and different politicians, congressmen, and these were sitting and having dinner with President Obama. And like in this last 20 years, they had like so many presidents, dinners with so many presidents, so many prime ministers. These are the individuals, and those families are still in Afghanistan. So they are suffering, and there is no right. So these are the right people, like you said, like where are the right people? The right people are there. I can connect you with each and every individual. I am, because I am connected with 300 400 diplomats, ex diplomats, and they are, I think, official. They are still diplomats, because if the US government doesn't recognize the Taliban government, or United Nations doesn't recognize, then these officials are officially still officials. They are still diplomats, but still they can go to any country with their passport. They can travel. They can't even come to US to even advocate, or UK, or any big country. Even they can travel. So they're still stuck. Some individuals, like I said, they got dropped in Turkey, in Istanbul. Some individuals, they went to Pakistan, or some other countries. So, but most of the families, their families are still sitting in Afghanistan. There is not even one small help for those families in any of these basic issues I addressed, for their children, for their wives. They are still sitting there.
So here's the $64,000 question. Why
Yeah.
would the US assist the corrupt politicos to get an asylum here in the United States and not help the people who were doing all the real work and who were against all this corruption?
Yeah, I mean, really, like, I mean, even I wonder, and a lot of Afghan diplomats, they wonder. All the corrupt people are sitting in DC, and they're talking in media, they're talking here and there. So they are wondering, like, because they can't talk. The real people right now, they can't talk. Their families are still sitting in Afghanistan. They didn't even, I mean, evacuate their families. So they are really wondering why the corruption is, the corrupt people of Afghanistan, because these people were planning to put them in jail. And most of these corrupt people, like, who are sitting in US or UK or any other big countries, Dubai, Qatar, anywhere, they came to power in the last 3 months or the last 6 months of the before president left. So that's how all this thing happened. So, and these people who got evacuated, they are sitting here, they are talking to the media, and they have never done any big work. The big work people, I can introduce you, and you can talk to them personally, one-on-one, and you can see, like, how much real people behind this Afghanistan with the NATO missions. And because Rich Davis, he was the US representative for all these years, like 10 years. And for the last 10 years, he's now with the Ukraine and other countries, leading those countries. So he has represented US, and he has seen and he has interacted with these people. So these are the real people who are sitting outside US, outside UK, or outside Canada. Oh yeah, and talking about Canada, that remembers me, like, we advocated, me and Rich, we advocated a lot for the last 1.5 year with the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau office, and we only received response from his executive assistant a couple of times, but they do respond a couple of times saying that your file is there, we are going to look into it, we are going to give this top priority. and it goes to immigration. And when we call immigration, there is nothing. Then they say like, no, the file is there. Some people would say, no, the file is there. Sometimes the people would say, no, the file is not there. So every time there's a fluctuation answers from the immigration. And finally, when with few people we are able to reach, and they say, no, the file is there. Not everyone can see you guys. This Afghan diplomat file, that's the file, and I'm going to share that file with you. It's a file of 1650 plus with 400 diplomats and their families. And that file is not gone because we are planning for putting another file, which would have a couple of thousands. And since this file didn't move in the last 1.5 years, and the only thing we got answers is from the immigration is your file is a top priority file in Canada, and it's sitting last 1.5 years. And when we do something, it's in foreign affairs for the last more than 6 months. When we do something, we will let you know, and you guys would get an email. Because what these people are looking, they're only looking for a temporary residence, temporary, because they work with the West, they work with US, they work with UK, they work with Canada daily basis, and sitting with the presidents and prime ministers. So now there is no interaction with these prime ministers or the presidents one-on-one, and these people are still outside the country. So they are really wondering why the people who do good for the US, UK, and all this country, why these countries are not responding, not taking care of us, why they are still dealing with the corrupt people. So that's a big question. So we want to have an answer. Why? So
well, one theory I have is it's obvious that this all of this was masterminded in advance, just because
yes,
we
yes,
knew that all of this was happening very quickly. It seems to me from everything that I've read that this was actually planned at least 6 months in advance. So Hani probably wanted to give an opportunity to his cronies
yeah.
to make
Actually, if
money
you
very quickly before the end came.
right, actually, you're totally right. I think you're definitely right in this. And why? Because there were some positions which were changed in the last 3 months, and that includes the defense minister. So you can check the defense minister who he was with. So basically, they were supposed to put him in the jail, and the defense minister is sitting in Virginia, and the defense minister was well connected with ISI, so he was brought to Virginia. How? He went to Qatar. They had a red carpet welcome in Qatar. So yeah, though when a lot of these corrupt people who just got the positions in the last 3 months, like you said, the pre-plan or the last 6 months was the max, and all these things happened in those 6 months. So it was definitely a pre-planned mission or something, and that's why the right people are not getting an answer. And if we come to the uh, security issues, the security issues are so big because right now, as you know, the country is suffering, and the general population is not able to operate themselves, not able to do anything. And who is operating there is only the corrupt people, all the terrorism. That's all it is going on. So it's a safe haven right now. Safe haven. The country has been safe haven, and they don't want the regular people even to survive or exist in the country, and which is unfortunate because if we see that already a couple of million vanished from the country, and if we see that more than 30, the whole country vanishes, the country would be only ground for terrorism, and that's not the, and it might grow the worldwide. It would be a big national, not only national security, it would be a global security issue. And right now I think politicians are not looking at it, or the national security is not looking at it. And I'm a common person, I'm just talking from my heart and seeing this, because since I worked with the special forces in the last 2 years for the humanitarian, and they did as a private citizens, they did all this humanitarian as a private citizen because just to save the families, save the people of Afghanistan, because they got saved multiple times in those missions and all that. So they felt it's a just cause. And even the veteran families who donated us in 2021, like I would say thousands of veteran families, and even they sent letters. If US brings them, we can even give our home to them. We can even give, one guy said, I have a big ranch in, I think, Idaho or somewhere. So I got like these type of emails, so many emails where people wanted to do, but since this Doha agreement came, everything stopped and no one is able to do. And people are still sitting, like organizations who wants to do the real help are not able to do anything.
So I'm going to raise a very uncomfortable question, because to me, all of this indicates exactly the opposite of both the Republican and Democrat administrations have been telling us for 2 years, which is that the American people are tired of Afghanistan and want it to end. I don't know of any poll where any Americans polled would have agreed to have the Taliban in charge of security, of regional security, or to have thousands of people left, to be tortured and imprisoned and harassed by the Taliban, or to have U.S. allies abandoned, or to have corrupt officials come to the United States with all that money. I don't have not seen a single poll where Americans would have expressed support for anything like that. So to me, all the polls that maybe I'm wrong, that we masterminded to show that Americans supposedly don't want a withdrawal from Afghanistan on those terms. To me, it seems to me very much a manipulation of the way Americans perceive U.S. place in the world. The second issue is the American veterans who wanted their colleagues, their friends, who were willing to put their to personally put them up and personally to take responsibility for them. The fact is, we've heard very disturbing stories shortly after U.S. Withdrawal about Americans committing suicide as a result of this. And to me, that speaks of abandoning, American interests. This goes against the U.S. interests. Forget everyone else.
Yes.
We talk about America First policy, but how's having American, officers kill themselves is in anyone's interest? I don't really see.
I
I
mean,
think
say like, when if the US is sending like someone to the war field without a proper training, when I mean, it's not just a physical training, mental training,
sure.
proper soldier. When a soldier has all those trainings, they can go to any mission. They only look for killing the enemy or saving the people, defending they're defending the territories, right?
Mhm.
So if the soldier is committing suicide, it's a complete different issue. It's a mental issue. So basically, those soldiers, we should not put them in the ground. We should, if someone has a PTSD, someone has some other issues, we should not put them on the ground, and then we
No.
can.
What I meant was they committed suicide not as a result of being in Afghanistan, but as a result of the withdrawal process, which essentially had all these people abandoned in Afghanistan. Apparently, there was a number of people who killed themselves or tried to kill themselves in reaction to the particular way all of that was handled, not as a result of a military combat trauma, but as a result of the reaction to U.S. response. And that's what I'm talking about, which I found shocking.
I'm not aware of American soldiers killing just for the withdrawal. But I'm only aware of so many American veterans or even the active duty, different agencies, whether it's Army, Air Force, all the national security, all the different agencies, people. They only felt bad because we were protecting, and we withdrew in a hurry without any proper protocols on the ground. So that's not a normal situation for NATO forces to move out all of a sudden and all of a sudden the government fled. So why, if there is no government, no person, and withdrawing the troops and all these things, it was not proper. So it was not a proper withdrawal.
So this compoundment of issues, the fact that we had an opportunity to save a lot more people than we did, the fact that we had an opportunity to not allow corrupt people in and to allow non-corrupt people in, and we did exactly the opposite. All these things tell me that there was some level of intent, that the hastiness itself was not a
Yes.
result of incompetence of the US military, but rather it was a direct order to handle things in particularly that way, knowing fully well the consequences, not out of panic, not because US doesn't have the capacity to withdraw properly or to deal with a bunch of hoodlums, like the Taliban.
Yeah.
It's not due to US unprofessional military. I don't believe that to be the
No,
case.
US has a lot of powerful,
It, it tells
network.
me that
Yeah.
somebody was getting something out of this. Somebody was getting financial or political benefit from bringing in corrupt officials and from letting certain people who had,
Yeah, I mean,
keeping them out, and for
yeah,
abandoning, all this equipment, and
right,
for abandoning things to the Taliban in that particular manner. So the
right.
question is there evidence we can point to secret deals being, cut in Doha or somewhere
Uh,
else
yeah,
between particular people who
yeah, definitely. Because when I mean, when any government does a deal, and when a lot of these other big countries are not involved, then it's definitely there is some secret deal between a couple of countries, right? So,
because
but if the
that
United Nations is sitting there, and then all the top countries of the world are sitting there, then if you are making a deal with the terrorists ruling this country, or then it changes everything. So right now, that's why like no one knows where the cash, why, if Taliban is getting the cash, from whom they are getting cash, who's giving the cash, why the cash is not reaching anyone in the public, why the public is not able to survive. So these are all like different real issues. And in the hastiness, yeah, definitely it was a hastiness. And even right after evacuation, even I got a report from one of the top diplomats saying that the 5,000, I think 5,000 Afghan troops, where these are the low level, basically, because for in the cadre wise, so they are like low level soldiers were taken to, I think, Dubai, I believe, and they were getting trained by the US, or I don't know which country. So I think that is what they said. US was, because they got calls from Dubai that US is training us in Dubai, 5,000 people there. So this was right after the evacuation. And their families, I think their families were already in US, those soldiers. So these are the regular soldiers,
Mhm.
and which were trained. So we don't know what was happening inside the administration or inside the, but for me, like it's all humanitarian work, which I'm more focused on in catering to the common citizens of Afghanistan. So yeah, so but all these things definitely, because if in a right way, if because all the veterans or the active duty, the whole defense of US, or even I'm not sure of other countries, uh, but definitely I can say, and I can say some about UK, the defense, they are not happy with what's going on right now with the current situation in Afghanistan. Because when we talk as a private citizens, personal, everyone is frustrated why we are not able to help. And when there are so many people in the world, they want to help, but everyone was cut off. Everyone was cut off. Why the ISI people are still, the Pakistan is still visiting? It's not their country, but when the Pakistan visits, you see the Taliban, how the Haqqan is, or how they react with the deputy defense minister. So you can definitely see there is a big synergy. So we don't know what are the internal politics of the countries and all that, but definitely Afghanistan is suffering, and there is no proper, no proper organization right now who is doing any work in Afghanistan. And even I try to even find other organizations, so I can even, the thousands of families who are approaching us, we can at least we can do something with, but no organizations response. And we only see in the just in the media that we have been to Afghanistan, we helped some of the organizations, they were not even existing when this August of 2021, when this
Mhm.
mission started. And we see our arc sailors, because we funded those evacuation that time. We see those pictures online. We see those pictures online, and they claim those pictures as that the other organization did. The other organization came, I mean, after a few months. They were not, I mean, they were not even incorporated, or they were not even there. So that was basically, those were our team members. So I have seen like a lot of things happen, so where people talk, but in reality it's not happening. Yeah, that's the reason, because there's a lot of dots which no one knows where to connect.
But
And
there's another aspect to it, which I find no less disturbing than these corrupt officials being probably bribing their way to get in, which is which is the fact that there were a cover up of the military and the security situation both before the withdrawal and after. Before the withdrawal, the progress of the Taliban across the country was deliberately um, was
no, it is. It's a lot of
covered up by
what.
the media, by the Pentagon. The Pentagon was
Yeah.
called out by U.S. analysts for outright lying about it. And now we are seeing reports coming allegedly from the intelligence community, always anonymous report. There's no
Yeah.
particular official responsible, claiming that there's no Al-Qaeda presence in Afghanistan, in spite of the UN reports pointing to
Yeah,
the contrary. How
that's
that's
totally
possible?
wrong. Okay. I mean, you can ask a citizen of Afghanistan, any citizen, they would tell you how many terrorist groups are flourishing right now, the last 2 years. And this would be like a worldwide network. It's not a, and ISI is definitely involved because they do the regular visits, and they have their people sitting there. So it's a very big issue for the national security or global security, I would believe.
The last
It's not about national security, it's all about global security now.
The last time we had Taliban aligned with Al Qaeda, we got 9/11. We had nearly 3,000
Right.
people die, and there was a lot of finger pointing at the coordination and the communication between different intelligence agencies. But at the end of the day, we can talk
Yeah.
about the tactics of intelligence gathering and what should have been improved. But at the end of the day, it is political will that is responsible for whether or not we choose to fight terrorist organizations. And
No,
right now,
yeah. I mean, the people at, I mean, the intelligence officials or anyone, like they are helpless, because we try to approach and they are helpless, and because they need to get anything to do, they have to get permission from the White House or the State
Mhm.
Department. So these are the two organizations who can give permission to do anything. So that's why, like right now, all the organizations, anything has to happen, then they have to give permission, or otherwise there should be a uh, global consortium on this, or something to fix this. Because yeah, I mean, a citizen of Afghanistan, like there are millions, so millions of people are seeing what's going on in front of them, how the terrorists are like roaming around, and how they are kidnapping girls. I mean, I can give you one another real
Mhm.
example. It just happened about 3 to 4 weeks now,
Mhm.
and one of the neighborhood on the in the district, I think, I believe district 5, or wherever the embassies of in the Kabul are, in that area, one of the gentleman's daughter, like they're 18 years and 20 years. So these Taliban, like 3 people, they come into their home, they follow, basically whenever the girls are on the street, they are following the girls and they are coming inside. And then they ask the father that we are going to marry your daughter, and both the daughters. And the father says, no, I mean, they are small and I have to talk to them. And they immediately curse him. Within 5 minutes, they marry these 2 girls and they take them away. And no one is there to help them. No one can do anything. So this is just one incident which I mentioned, and this is happening thousands of times. And you know, like how many children are there who got kidnapped or who like small children. And you can, even in the media, you are seeing the pictures of children anywhere from 3 years old, 4 years old to 15 years, 16 years, 20 right now. Because they are providing them food, right? When the food is going, see, this is where they're going. They are training them as Taliban terrorists with a band on them. And so they want to, so basically they want to create the Sharia law, which I don't think Pakistan has the Sharia law. If Pakistan can put Sharia law in Pakistan, and I would be thinking, yeah, they are doing something good for Afghanistan. So why Pakistan, ISI, I mean, all these people are forcing, and Taliban, because Taliban, they play with the Pakistan. Still, it's I think it's everyone knows that worldwide. If you are in, you don't have to be in intelligence for that. It's a common knowledge right now.
Mhm.
So they are training them to be the Taliban terrorist, and that includes girls and boys, small children.
So we
And
had,
they had a parade recently, I think in Mazar-e-Sharif or Kabul, they had a very big parade. So it's going on like all over the country.
so we have
So we
child
will see a
marriage.
big trouble. We'll see a big trouble by
We
not
see,
doing anything.
we're seeing this child marriage being enforced. We've been seeing child
Yes,
soldiers being recruited en masse.
yes,
And at
yes,
least with Yemen, when the Houthis are doing that, there are reports by
yeah,
human rights organizations about this. I haven't seen a single report from any major NGO
yeah,
talking about what
yeah,
you just said, even though it's completely logical. It's the same
right,
mentality
yeah,
and the same people we've seen before. They haven't changed. Contrary to, they haven't become more moderate or any better. We are
right,
seeing masses, a generation of young people being indoctrinated into radicalism and being sent off, dehumanized, and sent off to kill their families if they resist and
yeah,
their
yeah,
communities.
yeah,
We're seeing massive trauma.
yeah,
We are seeing, terrorist recruitment and infiltration and cooperation, and we're seeing neighboring states'
yeah,
intelligence services
yeah,
involvement in
yeah,
that. And we, you know, all of these things are empowering the forces that were dying out. This sort of
yeah,
fundamentalist ideology had been widely discredited because of its corruption, cruelty, and destruction, and now it's all coming back. It's coming
yeah.
back with the help from what people see as help from NATO because of the way NATO handled this and
Yes,
cut these
yeah.
deals. So,
No, the Afghanistan people, yeah, still have a very big hope because they are only living with that hope. Otherwise, like I said, it's every day the suicide notes and all these things for the people. So they are always thinking NATO would help us, NATO would help us, or US would help, or some country would come. Even they thought like India would come and help us, like how they, oh, I mean, they helped Bangladesh. They saved so many girls in Bangladesh. So why we are not getting any help from all these countries, US, UK, India? These are the three main countries they look at it for help. So they are definitely looking for help, and they are only living in that hope. So, and so if anyone wants to really do anything, either humanitarian work or policies or anything, this is the time they should really see what is going on in Afghanistan, and why the presidents, prime ministers of different countries are not talking, and why the meetings are only going secret. Because there was supposed to be one meeting like in July, early July, because Mr. Tom West, he meets the real people. He meets real people, but that those things never come out. He meets real people. Like recently, he had a meeting along with Stimson Center with these diplomats, and they are all sitting outside the country, those diplomats,
mhm.
the real ones. And he even went every couple of months and met these people. And then after that, he goes to Qatar and for other meetings. So we don't know any more details, but nothing happens. Nothing happened. They say why Tom West is always coming and talking, but he said if he doesn't have authority, then they should send Mr. Blinken to us. Mr. Blinken should talk, or someone who has an authority, president should talk. We were talking to presidents before. Why presidents are not talking to us now? So these are the people like who are. So these are the people who are outside the country and question us. So they are suffering for many different reasons. Like financially, I mean, all these people are like, I mean, because I met most of these diplomats personally. I went to their, they're living in a small apartments. They don't have any money. I mean, they are like suffering. Basically, they are hardly surviving. And whatever, and the families are still in Afghanistan. So these are the top diplomats sitting there with no and just scratching their heads. And basically, day and night, they are just wondering why the US is not calling us, why we got abandoned.
I
Abandoned
I can
is the
only
biggest,
see
yeah.
personal, financial, and political benefit for some people from Pakistan and Qatar and whoever else was involved in this mess. I
And
see.
some of these diplomats were attacked even in Turkey. Turkey, some of these diplomats were attacked on the road, on the highways. They came and they saw and they said, no, we are going to come back. You put our father in the jails because, they were terrorists, they put in the jail. And but although the diplomat said, no, well, right now we are not even in the country is yours now. Oh no, but still we'll come back for you guys. And that is what they get, threatening letters. Not only threatening, their children gets, they put their children in the jails, they get tortured. And if you have seen one of the girl, like one of the generals, one of the subordinate generals girl, she was in the news, in the media. She was one of the general I interact, his subordinates kid. She was raped few times. It was all over the media, after a few months. And then they said they'll get married. And then after that, she got vanished. They took her to Pakistan. So, so that's how these things are happening. So ISI is totally involved with all these things. And till Pakistan is there, it's very bad for Afghans. And Afghans, they don't want Pakistan involvement in their country. They want their country for themselves.
Unfortunately, none of these stories ever meet with the media in the United States or elsewhere. I haven't seen one such episode anywhere. On the contrary, it's all covered up, and it just talks about how it talks about a little bit about economic issues in very general terms, mostly asking people to pledge humanitarian assistance to the Taliban so that they could govern. And it doesn't talk about the shocking abuses that you're describing or the fact that they are sending out people to hunt down their political enemies in other countries. It's
Yeah.
it's
No, one time there was one of the general, he shared like a story of this was right after evacuation. There were some 300 soldiers, bodies, dead bodies. They just put them in a trench, like all together. And they had their list, they had their names, they had everything. So these are all the people like who were for their national security of Afghanistan. So yeah, they feel very bad that they are out of the country. They could not even do anything, and so those things happened. So those people can provide the proofs and all those things when any global inquiry comes or against terrorism. If someone has interest against terrorism, then definitely a lot of things can be done in this world. But if we want terrorists to rule the countries, then it's just a beginning. Afghanistan is just a beginning, I would say, where terrorists are ruling. So if the countries want to support, then the United Nations would see so many countries in the future where United Nations won't talk, but the terrorists would talk. And we all have to just keep quiet. And right now, it's silence. That silence is, we are seeing that silence in Afghanistan people. They're not able to talk. They're just vanishing or they're keeping quiet.
Well, as you know, I have a dedicated website where I can publish whatever I want. So I welcome stories that can help shift the narrative, and the right people will see those stories. I cannot promise huge circulation. I'm not the New York Times, but I can promise that I can get those stories out and I can give them visibility that right now is non-existent because we're not hearing any of them at all. They're
Right.
not published.
Yes.
The story
Right.
that was in the Afghan media was never translated to English.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows that of this.
No, that's the main reason why the real people are still sitting outside the country. Why they're not in US or Canada or UK, because they don't want the real stories to come out. And they're afraid because the families are still there. And when the terrorism is ruling, then how
But
they
I
can.
can put the stories in anonymous form and certainly without
Yeah.
mentioning sources.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need the sources. I just need the stories. I need
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
public in the US and elsewhere to understand that our politicians are
No,
lying.
I'll connect you with the real people, and I would even welcome you to even join our organization and support us, and that would be great for an org because we are very small organization with no resources, no funds.
And
We are
speaking of which, please tell us where, if people do want to give support to your organization, what is the website and how can they connect, donate,
people who
and get
wants
in
to
touch?
give our website is www.arksalus arksalus.org, and that's arksalus.org, and we can online they can do the small donations via PayPal. We use PayPal, and we are also going to uh, put our the banking information online. But if someone wants, they can send me an email. My email is the same as sarat@arksalus.org. It's again SARAT, like Sam, Angie, Robert, Angie, Tom @arksalus.org. So, and I can send the wire transfer information if they want to do something big. And we can even, if any donor wants to interact with families, we can put those families where the donor can have an interaction. So we are very authentic, 100%. It goes directly to the Afghan families who are in need and who need support. They can't even have food every day. Their children are suffering. And however you want to help, whether you want to help food, you want to buy them some wood, or buy them some groceries, or give them some medicines, in any type of humanitarian help, people are ready to, they're looking forward. And education or skill trade, if you think there is an idea you have where you want to develop a skill trade in Afghanistan, we can put some people under for the training, and we can help. So we can help in different ways, whether through financial resources or through skill training or different types of issues, or any political activist, if they want to involve and get support for the real Afghans sitting outside the US with no help. So we can do a lot of things to help Afghans.
Thank you so much for
Thanks, Irene.
Thank you so much for your important work and for highlighting these issues. To be sure, I will continue the coverage of Afghanistan-related issues, and I am hoping to bring to light a lot more of these personal stories, individual stories, and to let people get to know the situation as close to reality as possible. The Washington Outsider report is dedicated to bringing in diverse perspectives outside the mainstream narrative, but in a way that's verified, factual, and provides deeper meaning and understanding of real issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Thank
Everyone
you.
watching us, thank you for joining us today. I know it wasn't an easy topic to listen to, but it's vital to understand our place in the world today. And please come back next week, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. As usual.